Testing, testing, one, two, three. Hello, one and all, and welcome here to Global Speed Racing League and the start of a new division, the realistic tier, in which some of the finest drivers in this division's existence will fight it out. And they will fight it out at one of motorsport's true staples and strongholds as they go charging around Spa-Francorchamps. I am Ben McCarthy and I'll be bringing you all of the action here this evening. And after one chaotic Grand Prix with confounding drama, we hope that prolongs here onto this Spa scene. So, like I say, Spa is one of motorsport's true strongholds. It is a track that has pretty much pervaded the Formula One scene since the 1950s. The track has noticeably changed. It has actually shortened. Despite being the longest track remaining on the Formula One calendar, it is still a lot shorter than it once was. But this 4.4 mile circuit still gives rise to the ability for commitment and drama, and it is those two that we will particularly be investing in tonight. So then, we have 18 drivers in the lobby at the moment. They will all be searching for pole position around this circuit. And we have King Marshmallow on an outlap, heading through Rouge and Radion. And you can just get a sense from, even on the outlap, of how much commitment, how much speed the drivers are going to have to be channeling. This is everything in which a motor racing circuit yearns. High-speed corners, challenges, the walls are waiting, and the ability for awe-inspiring action. In this realistic tier here at abbreviate it, but here at GSRL, it is the perfect place for the action to truly start in this tier. So then, if we have a look quickly at the tyre choices of the drivers. Now, of course, in qualifying, as per the 2022 Formula 1 regulations, if we are on the 2022 Formula 1 game, the qualifying tyre rule in terms of qualifying on a certain tyre at a certain point of qualifying means you start the race in that tyre. That no longer exists. So the drivers, if they want to, can use as many soft compound tyres as they wish, but they will have to look to the 22-lap race ahead. Do they reserve the set of softs for the race? They will be most useful. And particularly as we are in Q1, as we have 18 drivers, we will only be losing 3 drivers from this particular bit of qualifying, as we have the McLaren of XD Wavy running off the track, off the exit of Stavelot, and well before Longchamp. But let's cut back to King Marshmallow, who has negotiated La Source and is now going to head downhill and reach Rouge and Raidillon. It is just the most beguiling scene, is that frame there. But this theme of aura continues, and we have Aceflip already out of qualifying, so the Haas has seemingly met the wall off of the exit of Stavelot, well after the exit of Stavelot, about halfway between Stavelot and Blanchimont. But this Spa-Francorchamps track bites, and it bites instantly. So Aceflip, who was on an outlap, is not going to be seeing passages of qualifying, and that is a rather perplexing moment for the Haas. And that means we will only be losing 2 further drivers in this qualifying session, as Aceflip will be unable to set a lap time, so will be starting from pretty much the rear of the grid. But King Marshmallow heading through La Fagna into Campsa and into Stavelot. Oh, he's ran wide and he's ran off the track. These strict track limits enforcements have paved their way to King Marshmallow, who went over the limits for what the stewards expected of him through the exit of Stavelot. And that casts to an end his first attempt in qualifying. Fred in the Ferrari, Reese in the AlphaTauri have both pretty much nullified their opening attempt. So let's turn to Alex in the sister Mercedes, who also heads up through Rouge and Raidillon. We have FI55 Tur registering a 1:45.629 on his first lap in Q1. We'll have to see how that will stand, how many laps that will sustain, and how many efforts it will sustain towards the sharp end. You can see there Alex understeering through Malmedy and running off the track in the process. So his attempt is also raised into history. Chicken Truck then in the Red Bull by less than 1/10 of a second displaces FI55 Tur, and the Red Bull climbs to the top of the standings. Who else do we have on a lap? We have SA Bolt in the Williams charging into Blanchimont now towards the conclusion of his laps as TX1 Karma by an absolute chasm opens up a 6.5 gap to Chicken Truck as Extred Titan moves and shuffles up into 4th place. SA Bolt will displace the Red Bull, and SA Bolt then will climb up onto the 2nd row. We have your flags out on trackers. TX1 Karma allows drivers on a push lap through. Chicken Truck, is he going for another lap, I wonder? To see, and someone's run off road there. It's the AlphaTauri, I believe, of Reese. Whether that was him trying to get out of the way, probably more likely be that. Nonetheless, no damage is done. It's Bright in the Alfa Romeo on the medium compound side. The first driver to tackle the Spa-Francorchamps circuit on the medium compound. So on 1 lap pace, he will be at a disadvantage. Well, it's Bright's B, and it shows as he is 2 seconds down on Karma's pace setting effort. Carowin in the Aston. Coming through La Source, bit of understeer as he's thrown out onto the exit curb. You want to put down the power as early as possible because it is absolutely flat out from here up until the Les Combes chicane. Negotiating Rouge and Radion splendidly, and then heading down the Kemmel Straight with DRS wide open. The DRS here does enable for overtaking, but theoretically it wouldn't be as effective than at a really high downforce track somewhere like Mexico, for instance. But because the drivers want to run at a decent downforce setup whilst seeking that straight line speed as well. Carowin. I was talking about the compromise that you must have around this circuit, but Carowin has ceased to find that. Going into No Name's corner. He lost the rear of his car, and then we have XD Wavy also out of this session. So that makes it 2 drivers already out of qualifying. 2 drivers who are already subjected to the sidelines. And on day 1, in the realistic tier, realities are really coming in sight. So Carowin will continue on his way and hope the tyres aren't too badly damaged and that he can go for another attempt. Quell SP1 in the Alpine will focus on him for the moment, registering or trying to register his first lap in qualifying. He's just over the 30-second mark through the first sector. Let's ride on board then with the Alpine car, running out wide onto the curb off the exit of Malmedy. You can just see how smooth it looks in that blue Alpine, all running out wide once more through the exit. No Name's corner. But into Pouhon now. This is where the McLaren of XD Wavy crashed earlier, and Quell running out wide, suffering with a bit of understeer mid-apex. And that costs him this particular effort. XXT-TV Snorzx will now take over the reins and look to complete his particular lap in the prancing horse, the Ferrari that looks to steal the limelight and steal the show here at Spa. He has his teammates currently second of the 8 lap times that have been registered so far. Is that King Marshmallow? No, it is Alex. Alex has gone for a spin. I'm not particularly sure if he was on a push lap. That is going to do him no good whatsoever. So Snorzx through the bus stop chicane, racing to the line. He's 1.4 seconds down on Karma's pace-setting lap, and It's Bright dancing with the rear of his Alfa Romeo, running that barrier just so close. And he is flirting with the limits. There is It's Bright's Mr. Oddbod climbing to the top 2, a third of a second down on Karma's 1:44.885 lap time. It's Bright though, trying to set a further representative lap time on these medium compound tyres. He's now done 3 laps on these mediums. And his reward is 10th place for the moment, as King Marshmallow, it seems, has climbed into the top 3, just behind Mr. Oddbod, so second and third. Really close on lap time early on. And now we have Skies then in the Williams taking to this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Let's get the telemetry up and illustrate the speeds at which these drivers are taking this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. So Skies into Rouge and Radion, 8th gear, flirting at around 200 miles per hour, opens DRS and eclipses that 200 miles per hour mark. He will hope to be as slippery as possible in a straight line as Skies. It looks competitive through the first sector, running the curves through the Les Combes chicane. The rear edge responding into Malmedy, taking an aggressive line in. Through the hairpin now. It is a never-ending hairpin, and Skies just being patient, knowing when to put down the power. It looks so smooth, it is just so silky that he will seek the rewards, or at least hope to, with this attempt through Pouhon. he completes it with absolute ease. Maybe a little bit of understeer going into Fagnes, but it just still looks marvellous so far on this attempt for the Williams. So heading down this rather long straight, which lends itself into the kink before the mighty Blanchimont corner, the scene of Max Verstappen's epic, truly epic overtake on Felipe Nasr back in 2015. We champion a move, an overtake, or a battle like that through that sequence of track. It's always spectacular around this circuit, and Skies hopes to be part of that as he moves into the top 4 on his first attempt. Carowin once more on a push lap, and you can see the difference between himself and Skies, particularly through Malmedy, where he's just not confident riding that curve, and again the rear end gets away from the green machine. Heading towards Pouhon now, trying to open up the corner, but he's going to be spat out wide mid-apex. Still keeps it within track limits into Fagnes, where Lewis Hamilton crashed in practice back in 2019, and where Juan Pablo Montoya collided with Antonio Pizzoglia back in 2005. Through every single corner there is a challenge to be overcome around this circuit, and these drivers largely are standing up to that test. Carowin, with a lap time to be set, will hope he can progress on into Q2. 13 drivers have set a representative lap time so far. We now have 20 drivers in the lobby. 5 will be eliminated from this Q1 session. We know 2 of them already have been subject to the sidelines. Carowin into the top 10. That's a much better effort there, avoiding that spin which he encountered on his first push lap. He's bolted on a new set of soft compound tyres. It seems like he is unleashing his potential. Quell is now going to try and make his mark in this Q1 session with just south of 4 minutes to go. The drivers that are in danger, Callum Quell, who we are following the progress of, as well as GSRL Alpha, will want to find a lap time that grants them a place in the second stage in qualifying. Quell up into the top 2. The Alpine running his teammates close to the extent of 1.5 tenths, which around this 4.4 mile circuit is simply a gasp. We have the 2 Alpines battling out in front in Q1 here at Spa. Let's see if that battle can sustain. So we have drivers trying to complete their laps. We have Chicken Truck running off the road, seemingly trying to allow the Alfa Romeo past, and he has retired from the session, so probably was the plan all along there for him. So then it's Bright, now heading down the start-finish straight into La Source, and this is a critical corner. Not only is it the first in the circuit, so you want to get a good start, but the exit of La Source is critical to lend yourself into Eau Rouge and Rajon and then down the Kemmel Straight. If you're at a disadvantage off the exit, you are going to lose just so much time. But then when you're breaching the 200 miles per hour mark, you hope that this first sector is as scintillating as you dare. It's Bright finding 1/4 of a second on his latest attempt through the first third of this lap. But this second sector, which commands a lot more downforce from the cars. Corners which require the drivers to take a line to optimise their speed, to brake, to be sharp as possible on entry, exits, when picking up the throttle. It's Bright is mastering that so far. He will hope it will reward him with an assurance of a Q2 appearance. The Alfa Romeo, and the rig just drifting away from him. He recovers it well. It seems like those rear tyres are crying out loud as he does find a second first two sectors. He is pushing by the limit and is yearning not to cross it. The Alfa Romeo nearing the completion of what will probably be his final push lap in qualifying, rising the curbs off of the exit of Blanchimont. Braking in time for the bus stop chicane, hitting that first apex perfectly, hitting that second apex perfectly. Doesn't take the short run to the line, but he grants himself a top 5 place. We now have the Ferrari of Snortex, it seems, who is out of qualifying, and you can see there the Ferrari stuck in the middle of the road with a wounded front end. Snortex is running a serious risk of not progressing into Q2 in terms of lap times. We have Sheen and Callum both searching for improvements. We have searching for a lap time. We have GSRL Alpha looking for a lap time. We have Reese as well, who's on a push lap. So it's all to be decided in these closing stages of qualifying. X-Dread Titan already lifted off, going into Blanchimont. It seems like Titan is not at one with that Red Bull on this attempt. But he finds an improvement of nearly 3/10, which he will hope will be enough for a Q2 place, which it should be. But so much can happen yet still. Alex, and you can see the rear end just not complying off the exit of the Com chicane. GSRL Alpha up into 12th place. The Alfa Romeo surely assuring himself of a Q2 appearance. We have Reese now through the exit of Stavelot, passing the scene of Snorzex's accident just a few moments ago. The AlphaTauri currently 16th, currently facing elimination, but he will hope that this lap grants him a place in the next stage of qualifying. He's completed the final turn of this Spa-Francorchamps circuit will dash to the line and progress into Q2. It's a lap time worthy of 5th place, and the AlphaTauri making his mark at the last gasp moment. So it seems like Alex is through, but he will hope just to complete this lap and understand where he is at as she progressing into 13th place. Alex knows he isn't. Well, there's no need for him to improve. He's safely through to Q2. And so then, pretty much largely due to the crashes that we have seen, we have our Q2 runners. So then we have TX1 Karma heading an Alpine 1-2 in the first stages of qualifying, with Mr. Oddbod third ahead of King Marshmallow. Reese, it's Bright Skies, Fred, Chicken Truck. Then we have FI55 Tur. There's probably a more logical name to that. But then we have SA Bolt, Dread Titan, Sheen, GSRL Alpha, and Alex all progressing through to Q2 with Carowin, Snorzex, Callum, Ace Flip, and Wavy all having to watch the remainder of qualifying from the sidelines. So then, this first section, the drivers just trying to understand this circuit, just trying to understand where they are at. Spa is a circuit where you may feel like you are in control, but one perceptible moment, one perceptible error can cost you dearly. So then we do start Q2, a 15-minute session. 15 drivers for the 15-minute session. And we will be searching for our top 10. The first Q3 appearances of the season. The drivers will hope that they can start towards the sharp end, obviously. But Spa is a circuit that, particularly through La Source, which is a sudden braking zone, you want to avoid that. I'm wondering why I don't have... Oh no, I do have sound now. I briefly had no audio of the drivers and the engines roaring out on track. But you don't want to be in that mid-pack heading into La Source. It can get really, really sketchy there, and damage can certainly be incurred. So Sheen on an outlap. No, not Sheen, sorry. FI55 turn. I was looking at Sheen because he's top of the leaderboard. Let's have a look. So we have Quell out on the track on the medium compound tyres. The Haas rushing the wall. The exit of no-named corner. But we have, it seems, 10 of the 15 drivers out on track. Obviously, it's not as busy as Q1, so the drivers can pretty much afford to wait, knowing that if they are out of sync, i.e. they want to go later on in this session, they don't necessarily have to be held up or have to overtake as many cars. But the Haas of FI55 Tour, I shouldn't really say 55 Tour, heading through Blanchimont and into the bus stop chicane to start his first push lap in Q2, opening up that final corner so Dixie can put down the power as early as he dare. And heading down then, the start-finish straight into the first corner, opening up La Source. Not quite hitting the apex, but gets the power down relatively briskly. And then into Rouge and Razion once more. Such a challenge. It will always remain a challenge. And one of the images of Motor Racing Challenge. So heading down the Kemmel Straight into the Le Combe chicane. Missing the apex going into Le Combe. The Haas running out wide, carrying a bit too much speed, and then does so again through Malmedy. It seems like that front end is just not hooked up in these opening exchanges of the Haas's first lap in Q2. But through the exit of no-named corner, it looks a lot smoother. And he will head into P1, charging into the apex of the corner, keeping within track limits, which is easier said than done. And then into Fagnes. It's like the Haas is just trying to see where his confidence levels are at. You feel like he has so much potential. You can see where that car is complying with 55 Tour's demands. But he'll head into Blanchimont if you have yellow flags out on track as Rees finding the conclusion of his qualifying session. So Sheen has passed him. Wonder what on earth went on with the Alfa Romeo there, but the Haas reaching the line. It's a 1:45.889. Expect that time to be beaten. Sheen, though, heading down the Kemmel Straight, and Skies will head into Blanchimont to complete, to near the completion of his latest lap. Skies' teammate S.A. Bolt was provisionally quickest. He's then bettered by King Marshmallow, but can Skies reclaim supremacy for Williams? He can register the quickest final sector, but it is not enough to get within touching distance of the top three. Mr. Oddbod up into second place. Alex makes it a provisional Mercedes 1-2. Then we have GSRL Alpha slotting into fifth. We'll follow the progress of Sheen as Fred to the top of the timings by 0.8 of a second. So the Ferrari clearly exuding his speed and his potential early on in Q2. But Sheen with a mighty middle sector. The Aston Martin pinning up an opportunity here to set a lap time already good enough for a Q3 place. Heading into the bus stop chicane, which is so tricky. The braking performance and the deceleration is just so demanding, but Sheen maximising all of that and then reaching the line, promoting himself into fifth place. So I wonder what went on there with Rees. To the exit of La Source, you don't tend to see crashes there. particularly on your road. So maybe he's lit up the rear tyres. Maybe the tyres just were not in the right window as GSRL Alpha spinning through Pouhon, managing to avoid the wall. Thankfully, there's enough runoff there for the Alfa Romeo just to avoid any damage and rejoin the track safely. Chicken Truck in the Red Bull. We'll focus our attention on him as yellow flags out on track through the end of the second sector. But Chicken Truck is not going to have his lap time interfered. He is on his way through Fagnes as we have Fred retiring from the session, knowing that he pretty much has a lap time worthy of a Q3 place. So Chicken Truck, you can see there, seems like he's struggling a little bit. Corrections here and there as he looks to throw that Red Bull into each and every apex. I wonder if Fred has crashed. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. But he is quickest of the pile so far, and it would be a big loss for Fred and for the entertainment if he's unable to partake in Q3. But Chicken Truck through the final corner, looking for a top 5 place and gets a top 3 place. He is by and large a second down on Fred's lap time, but it is about getting into the final stages of qualifying. You can gain a considerable amount, but you can lose more in Q2, and setting a lap time that is good enough for a Q3 appearance is indispensable. So then, the two Alpines are now out on track, the two Alpines that ran first and second during Q1 are looking to regain their rigour in Q2. Quell is going to get such a lovely slipstream from the AlphaTauri ahead. He's going to happily seize it. He heads on into Les Combes with a purple first sector. TX1 Karma heading uphill through Rouge and Razion. Let's cut back to Quell then, heading into the hairpin. And insert no named corner, rising the curb on entry, rising the curb on exit. It's not going to punish you. These are not particularly aggressive curbs. But Quell now into Pouhon. Looks an absolute breeze. It's a testament to the modern day Formula 1 car that the drivers can run at such exhilarating speed. But Quell through the exit of Fagnes into Stavelot. This lap is coming along nicely. He'll be spending all that is remaining of his battery on this lap, dumping it down this passage of tarmac through Blanchimont, flat out through this kink before the bus stop chicane. We will hope that that charge grants him a best possible chance of finding the quickest lap time in this session, which he just misses out by just less than a tenth of a second. TX1 Karma, he will hope to displace his teammates and Fred as well as he journeys into the bus stop chicane, hitting the apex nicely through the final corner, putting down the power for one final time on this lap, and he too is unable to defeat Fred. So the Ferrari has found time in Q2. The Alpine dominance in the first stage of qualifying is being quelled somewhat. But I'm from Chow. Because of Quell, yeah. But we have Fred quickest, we have Quell second, TX1 Karma third, Mr. Osborne in the AlphaTauri, currently outside the top 10. He needs an improvement of about half a second to nudge back into the progression zone into Q3. You can see the drivers just gathering more and more confidence. They understand the track, the setup, and how their cars respond to it. They can just run on the knife edge just that little bit more, which makes for just a mesmeric sight. So Mr. Oddbod through the exit of the second sector. Wow, he's found the second. He has found the second. feels like if he can just reach the line with certainty and clarity, he will sail into that top 10, into the bus stop chicane, hitting the curbs through the first part of the chicane, missing it through the second part. As he puts down the power and reaches the line, it is P4 there from Mr. Oddbod, and that will draw a sigh of huge relief, as then it seems like, who's that just completing a lap? I think that's Titan. Yes, Titan completing a lap. He's P9 at the moment. Leaves Sheen on the fringes of elimination. FI55 Tur on an out lap. And so too are others as we enter the final stages of this Q2 section. So TX1 Karma allowing the Haas through. Mr. Oddbod retiring from the session. And is that a crash he's had then through the exit of Malmedy? We'll have to see. Yes, it is. He's embedded. That's AlphaTauri into the walls. That's yet another driver finding the barriers in this session. If this is anything to go by, we have one thrilling race ahead of us. Not only are the drivers in rivalry with each other, but also within themselves. It makes for that much more unpredictability. FI55 Tur, probably fighter or something, but he's invalidated his attempt, which means he'll realistically have one more chance. Alex in the Mercedes on an out lap, looking to get going once more as Titan rushing the wall on pit lane entry, gets it stopped in time for the pit lane limiter. It seems like FI55 Tur slowing down, trying to cool his tyres down. And then we have GSRL Alpha. Has he had a problem? No, he's on an out lap. He is on an out lap. He's going to let his teammate through. And if he can stay close enough to him, he could get such a delightful slipstream, which will maximise his chances of making it into Q3. His teammate, though, it's right. His lap, I think, was invalidated, so that did not count. And GSRL Alpha, is he close enough? He may just be close enough to get a noticeable slipstream, but how much it will benefit him, I mean, it could be negligible. GSRL Alpha, you can see that Alpha is alive through Radeon. Heading down the Kemmel Straights. Remember, he's 12th. He's facing elimination in Q2 right now. And he's not improving through the first sector. And he's pretty much cut the track and cut his... Or is this... Maybe not. My eyes perhaps deceive me. It looked like he was running off-road and cutting the corner. Maybe it's a glitch that you can't identify. It's just exclusive to my Xbox. But nonetheless, GSRL Alpha continues on, unable to find an improvement through the first sector. Oh my, he needs one. He needs one through the middle part of this lap. So FI55 Tur, GSRL Alpha, the man we ride on board with right now. Skies, it's right. All facing elimination in Q2. Reese will not progress any further in qualifying. He crashed through the exit of La Source in the early stages of this session, but GSRL Alpha finding time, and precious time. How he needs this lap time. And as the skies gather overhead, we will hope that there is still some light pouring upon him. His teammate, it's right, reaching the line now. And it's right up into 6th place. We saw Skies having a spin. We see GSRL Alpha unable to make it into Q3. And yes, Skies finding the wall, going into the hairpin. And that is his qualifying coming to an end. So Sheen finding time so far on this lap. Can he find yet more? He needs to find just under 0.3 of a second. Having said that, the Haas isn't going to progress through. He's run off the road. He's invalidated his lap time. So it's Chicken, Truck, or Sheen. Sheen finding a third of a second. This could be mighty, mighty close. One more braking zone to go, and Sheen can feel that Q3 appearance through Blanchimont into the bus stop. He gets it stopped. He hits the apex through the first part, and the second puts down the power. We'll see the checkered flag. Hopes that this will be his lap time, and it is enough for Sheen. Sheen into Q3. Seems like they're the Haas. Or having some kind of malarkey through the final corner. But he will not be going through into Q3 as he finds the wall, the end of his session. And so it is then the final 10 who will battle it out for the first pole position in realistic tier here in GSRL. So then, Fred, Quell, Karma, King Marshmallow, Sheen, Alex, It's Bright, SA Bolt through to Q3, but Mr. Oddbod Chicken Truck seemingly not through. I imagine because they've had a crash which is going to deprive them of a Q3 place. We have 8 drivers then. 8 drivers progressing into the final stages of qualifying, trying to battle it out for pole position. This is where the nerves really start to jangle. The drivers may not show it, and they will certainly hope not to. It does seem a lot gloomier overhead here at Spa-Francorchamps because of the nature of this location. Spa basically has a climate of its own. So rain is always on the horizon. It's always evading predictability and the expected. But in these final stages of qualifying, in this final session, who can claim pole position? We have many drivers heading out on track. Looks like they are being headed by the Alpine of Quell, who is heading uphill, exiting Radion and down the Kemmel Straight. You can see how much darker the clouds have become as the Alpine weaving this way and that way down the Kemmel Straight, reaching the quickest point of the circuit. Now around this track, because we hit such high speeds and such fast corners, the loads that are put through the tyres are quite substantial. That may be explaining the reason as to why we've seen so many drivers finding the wall so far in qualifying. And because it's such a long lap as well, it's constantly demanding. So the drivers have to sustain the level of load, the lateral load, through each and every corner. That is going to punish them. It will punish them in the race as well. Tyre degradation will be a key element of the 22 lap race coming up very, very shortly. But first, we have Q3 to resolve. We have the top 10 or top 8 starting places to be resolved. And it seems like Quell, who has looked like one of the quickest drivers so far in qualifying, it will be his turn to establish his ultimate speed in Q3. Heading down then, the start, finish straight into La Source. Gets the power, put down just right in the curbs, a little off of the exit of La Source, but not enough to cause too much deceleration. Up Rouge into Radion, it just never gets any less gorgeous. But the Alpine continues on down the Kemmel Straight. You can see DRS wide open. You can see the crowds enamoured by the speed and sensation of these drivers who are tackling this Spa-Francorchamps circuit with scintillation. Into the middle sector for Quell. Through the hairpin where Skies crashed at the conclusion of Q2. The Alpine heading into No Name's corner. And we've seen crashes through the years. Michael Schumacher in 1996 is one that certainly stands out. Into Pouon, another corner where we've seen many crashes. One must be Antonio Giovinazzi back in 2019. Into Fagna. Commitment, the rear end responding well to the front end's demands. The Alpine is on his way. Putting down the power. Through Stamolo. Riding the curb slightly, but it is absolutely flat out for the next mile. And he will venture into the bus stop chicane. He's going to take just so much out of these brakes to get it stopped expertly. Through the exit of the bus stop chicane then for the Alpine with DRS wide open and a lap time of a 1:44.250. It may just be beaten. It may just be beaten, but Quell laying down a benchmark. I'll have to see if it can stand the test of time. King Marshmallow is just not close enough to Quell, and nor is Sheen. Fred is not going to be registering a lap time on his first attempt as he reaches track limits as Bolt's entering the pit lane. And Fred, what's the Ferrari going to do then? So Quell has stood the test of time. He's 3/4 of a second clear of King Marshmallow. So it seems to be a very, very strong lap so far. But Fred, heading down the start-finish straight now with DRS wide open. These tyres are going to be a lap holder, which are around a 4.4 mile circuit. It's going to be a little more noticeable, so this may not be the ultimate lap time here from Fred. But we ride on board them. He takes the Ergels and Radion. The modern Formula 1 car can cope with its speeds and its demands down the Kemmel Straight and into the Les Combes chicane. Carrying so much minimum speed into that Les Combes chicane. Fred is committed. He was oh so fast in Q2, only set one lap time. It was one that was more than good enough for a Q3 appearance. But this is where the lap has to come together. This is where his boundaries can see no end. Into Pouon. He will flick that Ferrari in. The rear end responds. And into Fagna. Will look to the outside, will try and open up the corner as much as he dare. Riding the curbs. Then heading into Stamford, ran off road once more. He's exceeded track limits. And that means Fred is probably going to come into the pits at the end of this lap knowing that these tyres are not going to be good enough for him now. It's 2 laps, 2 attempts. But 2 nullified attempts. It's right then into the hairpin through the second sector, hunting down Quell's provisional pole time for 1:44.250, and this time the Alfa Romeo takes to the curb and takes off road. That's another driver being penalised by this demanding Spa-Francorchamps circuit. And with 5 minutes to go, of the 8 drivers in Q3, only 4 of them have registered a lap time. And what does it do for the likes of It's Bright, knowing that they have not set a lap time yet? Does that mean you push more on your final attempt? Does that mean you have to go for a banker lap when you least want it? So many strategies, methods, and frames of mind which have all collided in unison here at Spa-Francorchamps. So, with just under 4.5 minutes to go in qualifying, we have Quell at the very front. We have Mercedes second and third. We have Sheen fourth. If you take second to fourth, you basically have the Australian Grand Prix in real life starting grid. But Fred, heading out on track, is exited his garage. And with less than 4 minutes left, it's time for him to see what he can galvanise. So Fred weaving this way, that way. I think that would be a perilous sight off of the exits of Radion, but that's gorgeous. Dancing passing horse, looks to prance, looks to gallop, but actually spins down the Kemmel Straight. And it's a heart-in-mouth moment for Fred, who's trying to get his tyres up to temperature, but may have put a little too much effort in. That could have been game over there for the Ferrari. That could have been an ignominious moment of embarrassment. But he recovered it. And he will carry and continue on. Quayle and It's Bright have joined him on the road, as well as SA Bolt. But as Fred is pretty much the lead driver out of those on an out lap, who will follow the Ferrari's progress. I didn't really give enough credit to Quayle for that first lap. It looks mighty. But the likes of Fred and Karma, they will hope that their one and only laps in qualifying can be enough. Can be enough to dethrone our provisional pole sitter for round one of the realistics here. Global Speed Racing League. So then Fred, through the final corner, opening up the apex of the corner, putting down the power, and he is underway on his final push lap in qualifying. With the rear wing open down the start-finish straight, always missed the apex by so much going into turn one. But I thought he could get a nice little slipstream from the Merc ahead. Slowed down, so it's all about Fred, it's all about the horsepower in that Ferrari engine, it's all about the top end speed on the way to the Les Combes chicane. With DRS wide open, exceeding speeds of 200 miles per hour, Fred is a 30.4, it's not the quickest we've seen through the first sector, that graphic is rather deceiving. But the Ferrari pushing on. Quayle has started his lap. So too has It's Bright. They're just a few corners behind Fred, who's through the meat of this middle sector, now heading on towards Pouhon for one final time in qualifying. Always missed the apex, always ran over the curb. That's going to cost him time, and that could just cost him pole. It's been a scruffy first half of the lap for Fred. Can he recover any time? Oh, and the rear again, getting away from the Ferrari. Looks sensational. It looks on edge, but it's going to cost him time. Again, it says he's quickest through the middle sector. He is pushing. Maybe he's pushing beyond. And to a place for pole position, the Ferrari. What a startling sight it has been for the last 4.4 miles. Can he reward himself with pole position? No, he can't. It's only a P3 best for Fred. That speed he showed in Q2 is just not sustained, as Quayle finding yet more time. Through the final sector now, he is night and day ahead of the chasing pack after the first runs in Q3. He looks to affirm his grip on provisional pole. It's right, the Alfa Romeo crossing the line, and he comes within 3.5 tenths of Quayle, but the Alpine charging to the line extends his lead further to over half a second. King Marshmallow in the Merc. He's finding an improvement so far. Fred, we know, is not on a push lap. Alex is. Sheen is as well. SA Bolt seemingly backing off. TX1 Karma who sees his teammate on provisional pole, will look to displace him in a last gasp moment of utter thrill. The Alpine charging into Fagnes. You can see now through the end of the second sector, it is pedal to the metal, it's caution to the wind, and Karma finding time, finding precious advantages across each and every corner. His teammate on a 144.011 is the benchmark. Can he eclipse him? Can he overcome him? King Marshmallow. It's P3 for him on the road, but TX1 Karma, who ventures through the final corner, puts down the power for one final time in qualifying. He crosses the line, and by a 1/10.5, he steals pole position from his teammate's grasp. And it seems like Alex is not going to be finding an improvement. He's so far down, he's made a mistake somewhere during the lap. But at the end, at the very end, at this temple motor racing theatre, Karma is its breath. He displaced his teammates, he found the ultimate lap when he most needed it, and by a 1/10.5, the Alpines ignited, the Alpines battled, but it was Karma that found the advantage. And he will hope to lead the field and convert pole into race victory for the first round of this realistic tier season. So then, you have your order. We have Karma on pole. We have Quell second. It's an Alpine front row lockout. So then, wonder if the drivers are going to take a break. The drivers are on the grid. Wonder if there is a formation lap though. They have readied up, so we will be underway very shortly. This is where the nerves start to jingle. The formation lap is on now. Just give me a breath, thankfully, that the action is nearing. So then it is a gorgeous day here at Spa-Francorchamps. The sun is beating down as its light looks to cast upon one of our own. The drivers are on the grid. We'll get underway for their formation lap. Let's just put the details of tyre strategies on the screen there for you. So then, the front row, the two Alpines, starting from the hard compound tyres. That's a strategy imitated by SA Volt, as well as GSRL Alpha and Ace Flip. Everyone else will start on the medium, so they want to avoid the soft. They recognise the degradation around this circuit. The likes of Karma and Quell running the alternate strategy, they should theoretically lose grip, speed, and likely track position on this first lap. But what is unique about Spa on its first lap has got to be the Kemmel Straight. Often when you are leading, you are at a disadvantage. You can get such a terrific tow down the Kemmel Straight on towards Les Combes. And we've seen those battles, haven't we? back in 2017, 18 and 19 between Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, as well as 2013 and 14. People forget that Vettel overtook Hamilton to the lead back in 2013 and looked to take the lead in 2014 in a year where Mercedes were just demonstrably dominant. Now it seems like Skies just wants to get on with it on this formation lap, and we have a few drivers finding the grass, running off-road on this formation lap, that Skies tries to get onto the grid as quickly as possible. That will leave him on the grid for a lot longer. Oh my word! As we have XD Wavy finding the wall off the exit of Stavlo. What an utterly bizarre formation lap this is. We had the Aston Martin running off-road. It's just absolute carnage on this lap to the grid. We'll have the McLaren of XD Wavy joining us shortly. But if that's indicative of the race ahead, we may just have a race for the ages. So as the McLaren of XD Wavy joins us on the grid. Fresh files hit this racing division. The realistic tier searches for its origins and will open its accounts here at one of motor racing's true staples as we go from the lights to the action. Here at Last Funkershocks, Quell struggling off the line. Karma leaping up into a mega advantage going into last source. We have the Aston Martin of Sheen and King Marshmallow colliding. It seems we have Fred trying to challenge Sheen, and they are going side by side. That's Reese, I think, towards the rear of the pack, having trouble through the exit of La Source, but it is Karma who leads from Quell, getting a terrific toe down the Kemmel Straight. Is he going to try and impose himself on his teammate? We have XD Wavy and Carowin both out of the race. Let's see Karma going into the lead into Lake Comet, right around the outside of Quell. It's delightful there from the Alfa Romeo, using those medium compound tyres to power through and split things on lap one. So XD Wavy and Carowin both out of this race. I think McLaren found the end of his race, the conclusion to his race into Rules and Bradley. That must have been such a mighty crash. But here comes Fred on these medium compound tyres. These hards are just not firing up for the Alpines, particularly in the hands of Quell. The Ferrari all over the rear wing of Quell, trying to take a different line, trying to put down the power as early as possible. He's lurking on his tail. He's pushed to the outside of the Ferrari. He then will put down the power once more. Quell doesn't have a response. Or does he? Oh no! He has collided with the Ferrari and the Alpine after starting from the front row. Shuffles down the order outside of the top 10. It is a lap of unconfined nightmare for Quell. His teammate leads out in front. It's bright seconds ahead of Fred, Sheen, Alex, SA Bolt, King Marshmallow, the Haas of FI55 Tur, who gets past Snorzex, the Ferrari down the start, finish straight into La Source. Thinking about a move, commits to the outside, but the Haas setting his sights upon King Marshmallow. We have SA Bolt trying to close in. SA Bolt trying to close in on Alex, and down the Kemmel Straight he'll have the inside line, and it seems like he'll have the position as it's bright, closing in on Karma, but SA Bolt powering past Alex. The Haas of FI55 Tur ahead of King Marshmallow. And even before the DRX became the straight, hosting Italian overtakes. As Alex journeying to the inside of SA Bolt, those two do make contact, with the Haas lurking in the background, trying to seize the initiative, and off the exit of No Name Corner, he inches closer and closer, but not ahead. Fred then getting ahead of It's Bright, and that's because the Alfa Romeo running off-road, facing the wrong way, and as he did in qualifying, through P1, has run off-road, he's lost the rear end, and he has lost second place, so Fred is released. And right behind the rear there of the race leader, as it seems like Chicken Truck has spun. He's been collected. He's not out of this race, but that is damage done to his race. And he's now his teammate Titan on the receiving end of Alex powering through. And what a dramatic opening few laps here as Fred taking the race lead. But here comes Mr. Roscoe thinking about a move on Chicken's Run. But let's go back to the race lead between Karma and Fred. Did Fred cut the track or something? He's now 8 tenths of a second behind Karma. He must have lost so much time. There is the McLaren of Bree Callum forced out wide. GSRL Alpha behind him on the road to restart lap 3 of 22. And we have Alex trying to make a move on him. And we have Bree Callum running out wide. Alex and GSRL Alpha journeying through. So Alex 11th, Alpha 12th. Callum shuffled down into 13th with Mercedes there, struggling through Radion. He's going to be vulnerable to the Alfa Romeo with the aid of DRS, which slips in, dumps the electric battery and scorching past. There's the sharp end, Snorzek trying to impose himself on Bolt for Williams on the hard compound tyres, struggling to keep the Ferrari behind, and the Ferrari oozing confidence, utilising the grip. They rush into one another, they come close to massive contact, but the Williams remains ahead. That could have been tears, it could have been tragic for the pair of them, but now Snorzek, he was trying to defend there from the Haas, but did actually make contact with his rear wheels. But for the moment, SA Bolt running in 4th place, but with the Ferrari desperate to make a move. Karma still leading, Fred on the mediums, trying to gain some control in this race. Here comes FI55 to the inside of Blanchimont. He will blast past Norzek, who had a terrible exit off of Stabilo, and the Haas up into 5th. His eyes and our sights are set upon the winners, but Snorzek's battling back past. The Ferrari, forced to the outside, will rejoin side by side with the Haas. Side by side down the straight. The Haas initially ahead and will remain ahead going into turn 1. But so much action, just so much action from day 1. Here in the realistics here. But Fred closing in on Karma with the aid of DRS. The Alpine rear wing gets that much larger. The Ferrari of Fred thinking about a move. But he isn't able to make one. King Marshmallow trying to pass the Ferrari of Snorzek going into Lacon. He chances a move to the inside. Snorzek's fighting back though. He had the speed around the outside and he retook the place. It was a perfect response to all that King Marshmallow applied to him. You can see that SA Bolt is just struggling so much on these medium compound tyres. He's doing remarkably well to keep those drivers behind. Callum running off road into no man's corner. He's taking an acute line in. Ritz is going to be hounding on his tail, going into Pooh on the outlet tower. Thought for one moment about seizing that inside line, but thought again as he runs off road through the apex of Pooh on. Out in front. Fred does have a time penalty, it seems, for track limits violations. He is within touching distance of the race lead. The Haas now passing the Williams, going into Blanchimont. And with the Williams running out wide, the Haas, their 555 Turk, trying to assert control. But there is Fred ahead of Karma. When the Alpine made a mistake of some sort, he is shuffled down into P2, but should have DRS going down the Kemmel straight. He slots in behind the Ferrari. He will hope that this top end speed will be enough for him to reclaim the race lead. Uphill, almost having to back off. Sounds like he lifted it off just slightly, but with the aid of DRS, the Ferrari is just not going to be able to defend the lead of this race, and Karma sweeps back through. Oh, but then you can see that Fred tapping the rear of him. That could have been close to a clash between the leading pair. We have King Marshmallow and it's right side by side. The Alfa Romeo running provisionally ahead. Mercedes through Malmsey looking for the outside line, but it's right outmuscles him and has a ticket to 7th place. Titan closing in on Skies. He will have DRS. We know how powerful DRS has been so far in this race. The Red Bull with absolute ease will pass him going into the Lacon chicane. The Williams gets in an absolute swapper mid-apex. In the turbulent wake there of the Red Bull, but Skies down to 17th place, and after crashing out of qualifying through this particular corner, it's not got any better since. So Karma leading still. Fred closing in. Heading into the bus stop chicane. It's the battle for the race lead reignited. That it's Bright having another problem. It is. It's Bright having another problem. And through the exit of Blanchimont, I don't know if he's done damage to his front wing, but he's down to 12th. And visually, to his race, the damage has been done. Back to the race lead then. It is Karma's, but for how much longer? Weak Callum, it seems like he's crashed going into the pit lane entry. That is a disastrous moment there for the McLaren. But Fred closing in through every passing metre down the Kemmel Straight, heading into the Lacon. He yearns a move, he wasn't able to make one. He's now just a fraction behind the Alpine, and on these medium compound tyres, the fact he's not able to get past and establish a lead will really please the race leader. His teammate Quell running down in P11 after a disastrous start, spinning on lap 1. He's having to battle his way through the pack, as we'll hope, if he can, to join his teammates towards the sharp end, but it'll be a mighty tall order from here. So we have 3 drivers out of this race. We can see Crash going into the pit lane entry. XT Wavy crashing out on lap 1, as well as Carolyn. We remain with 17 drivers, and we have Skies closing in on Titan going into the hairpin, trying to cut underneath the Red Bull. That's sweet, that's slick, and that's Skies. He played and toyed with Titan, and he surged through, ripping the Red Bull's defence apart, tearing apart his rigour. And Skies, with directness and a moment of delight, sweeps past the Red Bull and up into 15th place. Fred again within touching distance of Karma. Is it his time to really and truly make this lead his own? With the exit of Radion, we will have DRS once more. The Alpine does have super strong top end speed, but the Ferrari closing in, and he will charge it. He will run wide. The Alpine of Karma will retake the lead. But the Ferrari laying down the marker, and then the exit of Malmsey. He has an exit. He has a chance. He teases a move to the inside, but the Alpine, again, out-muscling Fred. Every single question that Fred poses to the Alpine, Karma has the most defiant response. This is Spa-Francorchamps, and it is bubbling, and it's bubbling in brilliance. 2 race leaders, nose to tail, giving it absolutely everything. It is everything for which this legend of motor racing circuit is indicative of. History, heritage, and hysteria. It is illuminating wheel-to-wheel combat in this Grand Prix, and Fred closing in on Karma, heading into the bus stop chicane. The Alpine thinking about the bending to the inside, but the Ferrari in a heartbeat will seize it. He runs in deep. Does Karma have the response through the bus stop chicane? Down the start finish race, he won't have DRS, and Fred, for the moment, takes back the lead of the race. The battle will continue on into La Source, and putting down the power off the exit of the first corner. Fred trying to cut off the Alpine. But the DRS zone should favour the Alpine, who is sticking with the Ferrari through Eau Rouge and Radion. Cutting the track through Radion, opens DRS down the Kemmel Straight. Oh, they made contact! They tapped into one another, and that could have been a colossal impact. Karma nonetheless seizing the inside line, going to lay on the Ferrari, sticking it around the outside, and the leading pair collide. We are dripping into light here at Spa-Francorchamps. The leading pair who are going hammer and tongs, who are rushing with brilliance, have now exploded into a moment of combat. Sheen takes over the reins out in front. Fred and Karma down a place. And in the end, it boils into something too hot to handle. And the tale turns here at Spa-Francorchamps. The dominant leading pair are dominant no longer. I think I mentioned this, but It's Bright is out of this race. So we remain with 16 drivers. But my oh my, a poignant moment in this race has arisen. And as Sheen takes to the pits to get rid of his medium compound tyres, we're going to get the flags out on track. The leading pair, who were dominant and serene, have collided, and this race takes a poignant turn. It's King Marshmallow on the tail ends of Bolt this battle right now for the final podium place. The splash of silver being struck down the Kemmel Straight. It seems not, as King Marshmallow earning himself a time penalty for track limits violations, but he will close in and in and in, but not past the Williams as GSRL Alpha progressing on further. He has Mr. Oddbod now in his mirrors. He's relegated the AlphaTauri down into 7th. It's been a charging drive from Alpha, from outside of the top 10, as we have Karma battling past Snorzx. And the Alpine then, after starting from the front row and after spinning on the first lap, has claimed back a points-paying position. So then we have a safety car deployed, and I'm trying to figure out why. Maybe because of skies. Yes, it will be because of skies. So skies to the exits of La Source has had a moment which has constituted a safety car, which is going to absolutely deject the likes of Quell. Oh no, sorry, Karma. Who's just pitted. Sorry, no, Quell was the one that spun on that one. Sorry, I've got that completely muddled up. But it's going to destroy Quell's race. It will probably... yeah, it probably will hurt those drivers that literally have just pitted. Because you can gain just so much time on by not pitting under the safety car. But he was the race leader, wasn't he, provisionally? He's the race leader no longer. And he just about gets ahead of SA Bolt. Yeah, for the likes of Fred now, who's just pitted, this safety car period has been very kind to him. He's been able, thanks to the safety car, to overcut Sheen, who is now down into 3rd place. So, a safety car brought out here at Spa-Francorchamps. We're inching towards half distance. Fred taking back the lead of the race does have a time penalty. But we've seen one moment of explosive contact with Quell. Palmer. Need to stop getting the Alpines mixed up. We'll hope to not make it another. He does have clean air, though he does have a time penalty. going to be a brilliant fight at this safety car restart. FIA55 turn up into second after starting from 16th. What a mighty comeback drive it has been from the Haas, who has Sheen now on his tail, and the Aston Martin will feel hard done by. He was effectively ahead of Fred, but the timing of the safety car has not particularly favoured him. So then, expect the safety car out for a couple more laps. Fred out in front. It was a jaw-dropping moment between the leading pair, but Karma down into ninth now. Fred takes the lead, but it probably won't be the last, which you'll hear of it. So then, we have Sheen dropping down the order. Why is that? He's spun and he's hit the wall down the start-finish straight. What a benumbing moment there for the Aston Martin as he lit it up. He tried to avoid another car. Whichever way you flip it, Sheen is now last. And a dream that may have been about just a few laps ago is a dream destroyed. So then Sheen will have to make another pit stop. Lap 11 of 22, inching towards half distance of this Belgian Grand Prix. The safety car will remain out on track, it seems, for yet another lap. Unless it makes a last gasp call. Remember with Fred, that time penalty, it's going to be critical for him to romp away from the pack at this safety car restart. He does not want to be caught in any battles, he does not want to be restricted and held back. He will definitely need a lead of over a second before the third lap of green flag racing. Whether he'll be able to execute that, we'll have to see. So then Sheen pits and puts on a set of medium tyres and crosses the line on pit exit, and that's S.A. Bolt, who's dropped down the order according to the timing. So that means GSR Alpha is now the lead driver on the medium compound tyres. Quell is the lead driver on the medium compound drivers who, well, hasn't got a penalty. And for Quell, who was suffering with exigence on the first lap. Showing this, of course, but a shade of Alpine blue might just start to emerge as one faded as Karma seems to be cut from the sharp end. So you can see the drivers having to put so much emphasis upon general. For these hard compound runners, the hard tyre is notorious for being a tyre that you struggle to get temperature with. And that will give Alpha and Quell, it'll give them both a chance to make inroads on the leading trio at this safety car restart. Been a quake of drama already in this Belgian Grand Prix. Fred has made contact with one race leader. He has a time penalty to overcome, but he has track position. What can be converted from here on in as FI55 Tur stares him down? The prancing horse looking to gallop to race victory, and he's got the ultimate restart. The Haas running in deep going into the bus stop chicane. He has Alpha. He has King Marshmallow and Alpha staring him down. It looks like that's the Red Bull. I thought for a moment that was the Red Bull. Hitting some trouble there, but FI55 Tur closing in on Fred. The chicken truck has a time penalty to be served as it's on with Titan, who's exited. This race has obviously been a coming together at the safety car restart. But down the Kemmel Straight, the Haas. Top end speed of the Haas. Is he going to chance to move into Les Coq? No. But Alpha surging past Marshmallow and up into third place as S.A. Bolt and Oddball going side by side, and then the Alpha Tauri tapping the Armco, dropping down into 14th, and a chance that may have arisen at this safety car restart has disappeared in a breath. Who is looking to reignite his charge to success. Currently in behind S.A. Bolt. Fred already has a lead of over 1 second. It's everything that he needed at this safety car restart. But here is Karma. He's plotting his path past the Williams. The Tone looks to close in on the Williams. It's not enough so far. S.A. Bolt has such terrific straight line speed. He has enough to keep the Alpine at bay. But here comes Snorzek. Side, he'll have Chicken Truck trying to battle away with him. But he concedes the place of Ferrari. Sweeps past. Yellow flags through the final corner. It's Sheen who's had a problem. And once again we have the safety car. Sheen has found the wall going into the bus stop chicane. Mr. Oddbob will take the chance to pit. The lead that Fred had, well, wasn't much of it, let's be honest, but the lead it had, everything's been neutralised once more effectively. But for the drivers now on lap 14, do they think about, particularly for those running towards the rear, do they think about, well, not the intermediate tyres as Mr. Oddbob has chosen, but do they think about the medium compound tyres or even the softs? The softs will degrade, but as the cars get lighter, the degradation shouldn't be that severe. so many questions to be answered still in this race. And yes, Mr. Oddbod is in fact out on the 4.4 Spa-Francorchamps circuit, which is soaked in sun, precipitation. He is raging down the Kemmel Straight, and there is an image which, in its hilarity, is limitless. Maybe he pressed the wrong button, making his strategy choice nonetheless. He is 13th, still has a chance of points. This has really been a race of attrition. There have been turns unforeseen here and there and everywhere. There is still more to be explored. Then heading into the bus stop chicane, FI55 turf. He's hounding the Ferrari. As we have Quell coming into the pits. No, we don't. We have Alpha coming into the pits. So Alpha, getting rid of his medium compound tyres, is he going to switch to the softs? This could be one inspired strategy choice. No, it's to the mediums. That surprises me, but Alex switches to the softs. Ace will serve a time penalty, then switch to the mediums. So then we have Alpha on fresh new tyres, as well as Alex, Ace Flip, and Mr. Oddbod managing to complete a lap on intermediate tyres. Fair play to him. He's managed to keep it on the road. He's managed to avoid any damage. So then Mr. Oddbod switching to a set of medium compound tyres. And they will be relatively, well, they will be fresh at the time we go racing. But those in the front three on the hard compound tyres still. It's going to be a tricky ride to the end. Anyone, literally anyone could win this race. Such is the unpredictability we have endured so far. It's always a stellar event in Spa-Francorchamps. It has been nothing less than we expected. As the race calms down for one brief moment, it is the eye before the storm. We will have a handful of laps to be completed towards the conclusion of this race. And those questions that we were pondering over during the last safety car period remain, not abstain. Reminding ourselves that Sheen, his crash into the bus stop chicane, hitting the barriers, is the reason as to why the race has been called under safety car command once more. Lap 15 of 22. We have Fred in the lead still. It seems like the drivers who have stayed out on track on the last lap are happy with their choices, which has to be the case. If you pit now, you will drop to the rear of the pack, and the strategy choice you initially made will effectively be undone. And you can see the Haas of FI55 Tur at times almost hounding Fred. Maybe he's trying to make himself visible in the Ferrari's mirrors, playing perhaps a slice of psychological game here. The Haas, as long as he can keep within 3 seconds of Fred, The race lead is effectively his, but he does not want it to come to that. He wants the lead out on the track. He knows the threat that Quell poses, that SA Bolt poses, even the likes of Alex, who's on the softs. He could be electrifying at this safety car restart. He could be in a world of his own. Just 6.5 laps to go. Again, Fred will have the responsibility of getting us underway for this safety car restart. FI55 turn, as he read all the tricks up Fred's sleeve. Can he read the Ferrari? Can he envisage what he will do? It's going to mimic the first lap effectively. You could get such a slipstream down the Kemmel Straights for when it does arrive. Haas citing the most remarkable victory on day one of this league, of this division, I should say. The Ferrari weaving this way, that way. Like I said, he has a time penalty to be overcome. He has many challenges to face, but can he stand up to it? Can he stand the test as we get back underway here at Spa? FI55 turn, running quite deep, going into the bus stop chicane. King Marshmello is right on his tail. Fred opening up a gap instantly, heading into La Source. The Mercedes late on the brakes, but not late enough to pass by. Alex is already up into 9th place. But here comes King Marshmello in the Mercedes, running side by side with the Haas. They're inching, nearing Rouge, and the Mercedes will seize the initiative. But the Haas, not wanting to let go, earns himself a time penalty for track limit violations. That could free Fred. But here comes the Haas, almost taken to the grass as he has to repass the Mercedes. And at north of 200 miles per hour, the Haas steals the place back. The Mercedes then taps him. He recovers it somehow, yet flags out on track. Ace Flip has a problem. He's out of the race. He may have collided there with JSRO Alpha, with a shuffle down the order. FI55 turn running out wide. King Marshmello surges through. Quell also up a place. And SA Bolt also gets in the measure of the Haas. And in a moment of a gut-wrenching turn, the Haas down the order. Karma passing SA Bolt. Alpine running 3rd and 4th now. And a shade of blue is flickering once more. And forward down with Snorzek, who probably did not envisage battling away with the Haas at the start of this lap. He was going to have a decent tow on the run towards Blanchimont. Is he able to near enough to make a move? Bus stop chicane is awaiting a heavy braking zone where you can make moves. The Ferrari daring a move to the outside, that lends itself into the inside line in the second part of the chicane. They tap each other once, they tap each other twice. The battle continues on down the start-finish straight. The Haas trying not to lose any more places. It has been a minute from hell for him, but the Ferrari pushed out wide, and this battle rages on. The Haas trying to get in the slipstream of the wings. They'll run side by side for Rouge. The Haas just about remains ahead, but Quell closing in on King Marshmello. And as easy as that, he's back up into the top 2. What a stunning comeback drive this has been from Quell, and with 5 laps remaining, he could be in the box seat for race victory. Karma also closing in on King Marshmello. The Haas, 5.55 turn, passing Bolt. The Haas has regained his composure, he's regained his rigour, and he passes the Williams with Snorzek, now staring down the Williams' rear wing. It's a fan yet. It's not close enough. It's the Ferrari. He'll look to stick close to the Williams though. In this one you can lose so much downforce, but he is exhibiting confidence. He's just dancing with every single racing line. The inside line is his, but it's not the position. We then have the Chicken Truck lurking on the Ferrari's tail, and he will take that place happily. Snorzek was seeking the inside line. He made the corner too acute for him, so he had to back off, and that cost him dearly. The Red Bull late on the brakes, going into the bus stop chicane. Not quite close enough. Fred registering the quickest lap of the race so far. He is just shy of 3 seconds ahead of Quell, so the Alpine effectively in the race lead. Going into last source, Snorzek thinking about a move, taken to the curb. But Chicken Truck on exit has an advantage. Karma closing in on King Marshmallow. With DRS enabled on this lap, does the Mercedes have a response? No, an FY55 turn, crashing out of the race through the exit of Razion. And for the third time in this race, the safety car has been deployed. Mr. Oddbod as well has been eliminated. What on earth is going on? He's been eliminated down the Kemmel Straights. And we're now down to just 10 drivers. What on earth is going on here with the Belgian Grand Prix? We saw the drivers crashing in qualifying, we saw what could be, and we have seen what has been. For Fred, well, this is possibly the final straw now. He knows he's not going to be able to open an advantage in just a few laps to win this race. Although drivers around him do have time penalties, Quell has fought back so supremely, so valiantly, and he is in the fray once more. Alex, it seems, with obviously a deficit, so we can see the likes of Snorzek and Reese both hitting, wanting to switch to those softs. So then, Snorzek ahead of Reese, both on the softs. We have Alex coming into the pits as well. Alpha will join them in pit road. So then, with just 3 laps to go, we don't know where we may land, but it could be an unbelievable, a truly unbelievable comeback drive from Quell, who was facing the wrong way on lap 1, who was staring down the most horrid of Grand Prix. What a comeback drive. What a comeback drive it has been. He's been fortuitous with drivers around him and the attrition that has unfolded. But he has been marked by measure, and he has a chance for a glorious win. Oh my goodness me! It could have been the commentator's curse there, as he almost collided with Fred. He almost lost his front wing, and a chance of race victory. And time drew breath for Quell. We're going to have 2 laps to to the checkered flag, which we should have had in Australia earlier. But we're going to have 2 laps to the checkered flag. 2 laps to invest in fortune and destiny. And could it be the most delightful destiny for Quell, who was passed by his teammates who've been caught out under the safety car here. But weaving from left to right, Fred knows he is no longer the favourite for this race victory. All he can do is hope. And all he can do is lead from the get-go. 2 laps to the checkered flag. What goes on from here as the Ferrari gets us back underway here at Spa-Francorchamps and opens up a healthy gap already. That's 3 restarts. He's absolutely ace. So then we're back underway here at Spa-Francorchamps. You can see GSR Alpha on these soft compound tyres trying to pass Alex there as Reese surging past Chicken Truck. The Red Bull trying to come back at him to the inside of turn 1. The soft compound tyres reaping their fruits for the AlphaTauri running out wide. Reese rejoining ahead of Chicken, side by side with Snorzex. They're going to run side by side to Rouge. The AlphaTauri keeping his foot down, the Ferrari running wide. They're the briefest moments of contact as Karma dropping down the order, as SA Bolt and King Marshmallow both passing him, going into the pop. The Alpine trying to get back at King Marshmallow, but it just has not gone the way of the pole sitter today. We have Alex trying to make a move to the inside of GSRL Alpha. They're getting within millimeters of Mercedes pushing to the wall. The briefest, the merest moments of contact was enough to send Alex into the destination of his race. And yet more drama unfolds as Karma is just losing places hand over fist, and then he's then off the track and he then finds the wall, and we're down to 8. It is nothing you could digest. It is nothing you could contemplate. It has been the most hectic of Grand Prix. Here comes Reese towards Blanchimont, thinking about to move. He's going to stick on in there as they battle towards Bastard Chicane, to the outside, to the inside for the AlphaTauri. King Marshmallow trying to attain some measure. And in a brief moment of contact remains ahead, but King Marshmallow still ahead of the AlphaTauri. But for how much longer down the start-finish race? Reese getting into the toe of the Mercedes. The Ferrari trying to take the outside line into the turn 1, trying to open up the corner and get a better exit. But Reese, with the soft compound tyres, is going to breeze past the Mercedes. It's truly something here at Spa-Francorchamps. Look at Snorzex down the Kemmel Straight. He's inching closer and closer and closer to King Marshmallow. Towards Lake Cos, he thinks about a move. He thinks about it, but he can't make one. And Reese on the tail of SA Bolt. And the AlphaTauri just losing the rear momentarily there, as he's searching for the outside line around the hairpin. The Williams is a barrier to his pursuit of 3rd place right now. But Reese wants to make his move. He doesn't want to get caught up with the drivers behind. As we have Snorzex towards Pouon. He wasn't far enough alongside to really make an impression on the Mercedes. The pair of them run wide. And it is as you were between these two. Into the final sector of this race then, as Reese earning himself a time penalty for track limit violations. That's almost certainly ended his hopes in Hogan. King Marshmallow running out wide. Snorzex tries to make a way through. Oh, that was close. That was so close between the pair. And here comes Reese towards Blanchimont. Can he make a move around the outside of Blanchimont? Yes, he can. Beautiful. Just beautiful there from Reese, who journeys into the podium. But for Quell, it has been a quake of quintessence. He was the wrong way round on the first lap. He races to the front to the checkered flag. It is the comeback of dreams, of delight. He has splashed his sensation on this Spa-Francorchamps stage. And a bolt of blue blossoms to the front. and to the winner's spot. What a drive from Quell. He wins the Belgian Grand Prix in the first race of this realistic tier season. What a truly insane Grand Prix that was. So then you can see the Alpine, who perhaps did not even visualise or contemplate a result like this at the end of lap 1, but he battled to the front, and in a race of immense attrition, he came out on top. And there you have it, your race order. Quell winning ahead of Fred, Reese, Alpha, Bolt, King Marshmallow, Snorzex, and Chicken Truck rounding out the actual finishers. Then we have Karma and Alex not seeing the checkered flag, as well as Mr. Oddbod, FI55 Tur, Ace Flip, Sheen, Titan, Skies, It's Bright, Wee Callum, Wavy, and Carowin. It was undulation. It was sensation. This Belgian Grand Prix delivers all the ingredients for a race to be remembered, and one for Quell to live long in the memory. He wins the Belgian Grand Prix, and it has been my pleasure to bring you the action here on this Sunday evening. It's been an emphatic start to life in the realistic tier here at Global Speed Racing League. And if you're poised for more, make sure you return for when we return. Thank you so very much for your company, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your evening. And until next time, goodbye.